Superman. Hello and welcome to hello and welcome to this another cool video that I've created for you, that I'm creating for you, creating for you. 8 secrets to help freshers of your community. Now, what do I mean by freshers? By the way, welcome to the video. Did I welcome you? Or did I not welcome you? Welcome to the video / podcast. Now, what do you mean by freshers of your community? Is someone who gets into your community for the first time. Okay, everything's recording is everything's recording. Someone who gets inside your community for the first time. Generally, everyone gets inside the community for the first time, and how do you treat them? How do you want them to, what do you want them to do, and what do you want them to watch? How do you want them to watch it? What are the things, like when someone joins in the community? For example, if you buy this one brush pen, what do you want to do with the brush pen? If you have a coach, if you have a mentor, if you have a trainer, something like that, he or she will tell you exactly what has to be done next. Unlike me, I bought this and I had no idea what to do with this one. It's like, okay, I'm just going to draw and color and whatever I want to do. Now, when someone is there to guide you, when someone is there to help you out, how do you want them to help you? And this video, we're going to talk about 8 secrets to help your freshers who get inside your community and what has to be done with them. Point number 1 is always the moment you make the sale, be it a physical product or be it an online course, whatever that is, put them into a group and get them on a weekly call, like a weekly mastermind, which is specifically for your community, specifically for the paid members, specifically for the private members, because they have invested in something and life is difficult, life is hard, and your community is something that is going to help them move forward, help them get results. For example, if you are there to teach them swimming, for example, now I don't know how you're going to make that happen, but then if that's a community you're building around, you need to be calling them on a weekly call and talk about things. Have a Q&A session, talk to them, ask them questions, take feedback from them, tell them what to do next. And that's what we're going to talk about in this one video, like everything about in 8 different secrets. So first one is weekly calls. Always make sure the moment you make the sale, bring them on a weekly calls. Now, when I say weekly calls, make a day and a time fixed in your calendar. Okay, Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the evening. Thursday, maybe 12 o'clock in the noon, or whatever that is, whatever is comfortable for you, convenient for you, and comfortable and convenient for even your audiences, because they have to make it to the live call that you've got. So once you get them on a weekly call, like a routine, like a schedule, 7 days a week, they know exactly when to meet you, when to ask you a question, when to get inside the energy, when to get inside the zone, and then they'll make everything squeezing and get inside the call with you. Point number 1, weekly calls. Second, always whenever you're doing a weekly session, weekly mastermind, always incorporate something called Q&A session. Now, I have learned everything that I've known, not everything, but then most of that I've learned is through question answers. Like I can say most of what I've learned is through Q&A sessions. The more people have asked me questions, the more members have asked me questions, the more I got different ways to answer one specific area. Now, the more the variety of answers you get over a period of time ultimately becomes a framework, ultimately becomes a strategy, ultimately becomes like the framework that is going to help the 11th member that you're going to talk about, the 12th member that you're going to do, the 200th member that you're going to talk to about. So when you have a Q&A session, 1, you get clarity. 2nd, they get clarity. 3rd, you get a pattern of questions, be it any question, be it any topic. When you for example this one topic that we're doing over here is the 8 secrets to help freshers of your community. Now, after I do this session, if I have like, okay, let's have a 10-minute Q&A session with all the members specific to this topic, how many questions will you be having? Okay, 1 question, 2 questions. How many questions other 10 people will be having? 2 questions. 2 tens are what? 20 questions I'm already having. Now, I'm going to answer 20 questions in a different format altogether. Maybe I'll point in the same direction. Maybe I'll point in the... What happens the more you get questions answered, they are getting clarity, you're getting clarity. They are getting clarity, you're getting comfortable. They are getting clarity, you are getting confident. They are getting clarity, you are gaining confidence with creating frameworks and strategies and cool stuff that's about you. So always have question and answers towards every session that you do. Point number 3. Tell them what to do next. Tell them what to watch next. Tell them what to consume next. Tell them what course they have to be consuming next. Because when you do a weekly call, what happens is when someone buys something from you, they have no idea what they're investing in. They get just more or less of 60% they buy on impulse. They are just motivated to a certain extent, and they see themselves like, in 3 months I'm going to get in shape, in 3 months I'm going to learn calligraphy, in 3 months I'm going to get great at swimming. But what happens? That's not the reality. What really happens is life takes over. What you have to be doing is on a weekly call, when we are running this weekly calls. I think the topic of this video should have been 8 secrets to have what should be done with weekly calls instead of freshers of the community. Anyway, so when someone gets inside your community and you tell them exactly what they have to be doing next, that brings us to the next point here, is share them the roadmap, share them the guide map. It's like, for example, do you want to go on a trek with a map in your hand, or do you want to go on a trek with a map plus a guide with you? The guide is you inside your community. The map is your courses, your weekly calls. On a weekly basis, what you do, okay, this is what you have watched till now. This week watch this. This week watch this. If you have finished this, do this. When you have less number of people inside your community, it becomes easier for you. If you have large number of people inside your community, it becomes even more easier, because now you have a pattern. Okay, if you have done this, do this. If you have done that, do this. If you have watched this, this is the next video you have to do. So it becomes easier for not just communicating with you with one member, but communicating with one member. You're communicating with the whole community through our members. Like, one answer to one member is an answer to the whole community. Point number 5 is ask them whether on a weekly basis when you meet, ask members, okay, last time I have discussed you to be doing this one thing. Have you did that one thing? I have asked you to do this one workout. Did you did that one workout? Because what generally happens is people ask you questions and they don't do anything about it. Now, if you want to be a great entrepreneur, what generally will happen is you will get great with names, and specifically with the people who ask you a question. Why does that happen? Because when someone asks you a question, you take their name. When you take their name, you remember the name. On a long-term basis, you will remember the name. What happens is, on a next week, when the same person comes inside the room, you can notice that one person. I'm talking about online courses, right? So you notice that one person, and you can immediately ask, okay, Fazil, I asked you to do this last week. Did you did that or not? What happens if that person did something? Great. If that person did not did something, by next week, he or she will do that one thing. For example, if that person doesn't do even in the next week, what happens is they figure out a pattern about you. A pattern about you is what? You will be asking questions. You will be holding someone accountable the moment they ask a question. So over a span of time, over a period of time, what will happen is, when they ask you a question, they will be already primed that I'm going to ask you a question, and next week you're going to ask me a question whether I did that or not. So they are more prepared to do a work, and if they are not prepared to do a work, they are not even going to ask you a question, not even waste your time. Okay, so whether always keeping them, holding them accountable to what they have asked you. This is set the tone and the context of how you are going to operate things as you go along. Point number 6 is, you are not just going to just tell them what to do, or tell them what to watch, and tell them what to do, tell them what to learn, but also make sure that they do things, they take those actions, they are moving forward in what they're doing. For example, what happens is, okay, I'm going to gift you this pen, okay, and by next week I want to see what you have done with this pen. Because if I have given you this brush pen, and if you're just going to keep it on the corner, it's waste of the gift, it's waste of my efforts, it's waste of my intentions, it's waste of you receiving gift, it's you not valuing something and stuff like that. So when I ask you, okay, I'm going to give you this for free, for example, give you a gift, but next week I'm going to ask you, what have you done about this one gift? If you haven't done anything, okay, I know what I have to do next. If you have done something, what I'm going to do is, I'm no more inspired and inclined to come out of my way and give you the next week's task, and the next week's task, and the next week's task. So you're telling them what to do instead of just watching and telling them, okay, just watch this, learn this, consume this. You're not just saying that, but you're also making sure that you also make things make them do things instead of just making them watch. One thing that I've always done in all my sessions that I've done is like I ask members to take action within the session, be it 20 minutes, be it 40 minutes, be it a 90-minute session, whatever that is. I make sure once you're attending a live session with me, a live call with me, I make them do things. When you make them do things, their level of not motivation, they kind of getting kick-started with what they're doing. So if I ask you to write ABCD after the call, you might not do it. If I ask you ABCD, do it right now, you might do it. After the call, you will continue writing it, or probably you'll write 10 times ABCD so that you get a rhythm of it, and the motion starts, the momentum picks up. You kind of have that kick start. When you kick start, it just starts the momentum building. That's what I always focus on. That's what, even if when you focus on these things, it's going to help your freshers of your community, especially the freshers, because the new blood inside the community is so important, because they have paid you recently, they have invested in your community, they have invested in your community and your courses, and they are already inclined to doing what they're doing, and they want to experience the coolness of your community. So once you have all these things in order, what happens is they get results faster. Point number 7 is in an online call or an offline call, incorporate something called breakout rooms. If you have never heard of what breakout room is, go Google stuff out. If you're not part of the Academy of Ardent Scientists, you just go ahead and Google what breakout room is, because it is one of the most essential parts of running a community and helping people interact with people, helping members interact with members within the community, because it increases the momentum altogether. Point number 8 is never confuse your community members, never consume never confuse any member of your community, be it the new member or the old member, whoever that is. Give them step-by-step guide to what they have to be doing next. Instead of telling them, okay, these are like 10 things you have to be doing. No, tell them, okay, you do that, like there are 10 things you need to be watching, but this is your first step, this is your second step, this is your third step, this is your fourth step, and so on and so forth. That brings us to the conclusion of this one video. Thank you so much for making this video/podcast the topic and me a part of your day. I'm going to see you in another cool video. Thank you.
فما لك في الأرض درب